Okay, so hello everyone who's currently in the webinar. We're just gonna give maybe like 2 to 3 more minutes for more people to join, and then we'll get started for today's session. Okay, it's 5:05 now. I think we'll get started. More people can just join us a bit later. But hello, everyone, for those who are in the webinar. So welcome to session 2 of the student-led webinar series hosted by the Wise Youth Society. So I'm Queenie Gong, and I'm the president of this nonprofit organization that is dedicated to kind of offering opportunities for students to learn more about personal finance. So today we're at the session 2 of this series with one of our exec members. So we have Shlok here, who is going to go over the introduction to cybersecurity topic. So just briefly, I'm going to talk about last week where we had another one of our members talk about the introduction to just basic budgeting, and we had Marissa go over that. So because these webinars are kind of just an introduction and they're student-led by high schoolers such as you guys. So there's not going to be like a very high expertise to these webinars, but all of our members have done a lot of research and put a lot of effort into these presentations. So I hope you guys can also enjoy it and learn a lot from it. So briefly, I'm just going to talk about the formatting. So today we're going to have around a 30 to 40-minute presentation style where Shlok will just go over what he has prepared for us about cybersecurity. And then at the end, we have prepared a 15 to 20-minute Q&A. So here you guys can totally ask any questions you have regarding the topic, anything Shlok talked about, or any general questions you have as well. So yeah, I think that's what I have prepared for the introduction. Oh yeah, and then for any questions you have, you can just use the chat box or the Q&A feature that we have prepared at the bottom. So you can ask your questions there. And if you have any questions throughout the webinar, you can totally just ask, or if you can save it for the end for a little section at the end for the Q&A. So yeah, I'm going to pass it on now to Shlok, who will do his very own introduction and begin his presentation. So I hope all of you guys enjoy today and learn a lot. Thank you guys.
Hey guys, my name is Shlok. So I'm a rising senior with an interest in finance and business, and I'm also a part of DECA. And this summer I have an internship at a local bank where I can further increase my knowledge about, the financial stuff and all that kind of stuff. So a little bit about me. Soccer, music, and food are some of my favorite things to do in my free time. I'm on the soccer team. I play the guitar, just basic things. Okay, so what is cybersecurity? So cybersecurity refers to the practice of protecting systems, networks, and programs from digital attacks. These cyber attacks are usually aimed at accessing, changing, or destroying sensitive information, extorting money from users, or interrupting normal business processes. Effective cybersecurity measures include multiple layers of protection spread across computers, networks, programs, or data that one intends to keep safe. Cybersecurity is essential for protecting personal information, financial data, and intellectual property and national security. So here are some examples. So the first one was in 2017 at Equifax, where a bunch of information was leaked, like social security numbers, birthdays, addresses, in some instances, driver's licenses, and even like really a lot of credit cards, even that. And this affected approximately 143 million Americans. And the second one was a Target data breach, where cyber criminals were able to steal 40 million credit cards and debit records and 70 million customer records. Target was required to pay an 18.5 million settlement after hackers stole $40 million in credit and debit records. So some brief history about cybersecurity. The first computer virus, the creeper virus, was detected on ARPANET ARPANET's like basically the first computer network that was created in 1971, and this led to the creation of the first antivirus program, which is called the Reaper. As personal computers became more widespread, so did cyber threats. The 1980s saw the emergence of more sophisticated viruses and worms. In 1988, the Morris worm caused significant disruption to the internet, highlighting the need for better cybersecurity measures. Okay, so why is it important? So in this age, individuals are increasingly exposed to various cybersecurity threats. And as technology continues to advance, the dependence on digital tools and online services has grown, leading to the heightened vulnerabilities and the need for robust cybersecurity measures. People regularly engage in financial transactions online, from shopping to managing investments, and this dependence on digital platforms for financial activities makes individuals targets for cybercriminals seeking to steal personal information and financial information. So now we're going to go over the types of viruses. And the first one is a file infector virus, which is a type of malware that attach themselves to executable files. And these files can contain specific instructions for a computer to perform specific tasks. And when an infected file is run, the virus activates and can spread through other files on the same system or network. And these viruses often modify or corrupt the files they infect and causing programs to malfunction or crash. These viruses can also carry out malicious actions such as deleting files, stealing data, or locking keystrokes. And because they attach so commonly to commonly used programs, they can spread quickly and widely, even if the infected files are shared between users or transferred via removable media like USB drives. So if we want to prevent this, you can install like antivirus software and just don't download from any source you see online. Like make sure you like have an idea of if it's safe or not, if it's a like respectable website. Um, enable firewalls and scan removable media like USB drives and other media. The second type is a macrovirus. Macroviruses are a type of malware written in the macro programming language used by software applications like Microsoft Word and Excel. Macros are small programs that automate repetitive tasks within these applications. These viruses embed themselves in documents and templates, and they activate once the infected document is open and macros are enabled. Once activated, macro viruses can perform a wide range of malicious actions, such as deleting or corrupting data, spreading to other documents, and sending infected files to contacts via email. They exploit the fact that many users unknowingly enable macros in their documents, which allows the virus to execute its code and spread rapidly. To prevent this, just disable your macros and keep them disabled unless it's really needed. Install antivirus software and keep it updated to detect and remove the viruses, and avoid untrusted documents and only open them from a trusted source. The third type is a boot sector viruses, and these infected the master boot record of a hard drive or the boot sector of removable storage media, such as a USB drive or floppy disks. The MBR, the master boot record, is a critical part of storage device that contains information about the disk partitions and the code to start the boot process. When a computer is turned on or restarted, the BIOS loads the MBR into memory and begins the boot process. If the MBR is infected, the virus is loaded into the memory during boot up and can infect other storage devices attached to the computer. These viruses can be particularly damaging because they load before the operating system and the antivirus software, making them hard to detect and remove. They can cause boot failures, data loss, and system instability. To prevent this, it's all the same measures, like use the same software, the antivirus software, keep it updated, enable BIOS protection. This can prevent unauthorized changes to the MBR and avoid untrusted media. Okay, so a phishing attack. This is like, I wouldn't say this is a virus, but it's a way to get viruses onto your computer. And this is a type of attack where attackers try to take individuals into providing information such as usernames, passwords, credit card numbers, or other personal data. And this is typically done by masquerading a trustworthy entity in electronic communications. So some examples of phishing are email phishing, spear phishing, and whaling. Email phishing, attackers send emails that appear to come from a reputable source, such as banks, online services, or even colleagues. Spear phishing is a more targeted form of phishing, where attackers customize their messages based on the information they have about the victim. And whaling is a type of spear phishing aimed at high-profile targets like executives or high-ranking officials within an organization. So how do you identify this? You can check the emails at the email address, and these emails like they usually come from addresses that look similar to the real ones, but they have slight variations. You can also look for like generic greetings. Emails that address you generically, like dear customer, rather than your name, can be a red flag. And beware of threatening language. Messages that create a sense of urgency or fear to prompt immediate action are common in phishing attempts. So this is an example. Can someone tell me what is wrong with this email? If you can find anything wrong with the email.
I don't think the attendees can open up their mic because of.
Okay. Oh, the settings. I mean, you can put it in the chat if you want, but
Mm.
okay, I'm gonna say. So the email over here, the Microsoft at emailrecords.com, that's not the email they use. So the Microsoft will usually come after the at symbol because they are its own company and they have their own. They're a really big company, first of all, and they have their own emails and everything like that. The second one is the first line here. A high severity alert has been triggered. This is like threatening and like it's trying to alert you, but at the same time, it's going to try and get your information out of you. Um, and if you look at the time, they don't usually do this. This is not common because they have so many users. It would not be likely for them to have the time and like everything about it. Um, Here's another example. So at the top, they will never email you to verify your account. That's not a thing. And also in the body of the paragraph, you can see that the grammar and the punctuation is really off. This is as a big company, if you see this, this is a big red flag. And the whole language of it, the tone of it, it's threatening, and this is obviously a phishing email. And here, there's a login here. That's a link. That's probably gonna put a virus in your computer. So don't trust these kind of emails at all. Okay, so password attacks. Password attacks are methods used by attackers to obtain or guess a user's password, allowing unauthorized access to systems, accounts, or sensitive information. So there are three different types of attacks. The first one is brute force. An attacker systematically tries all possible combinations of passwords until the correct one is found. This method can be time-consuming and resource-intensive, but it's effective against weak passwords. The second one is a dictionary attack. In this attack, the attacker uses a list of common passwords or words in a dictionary to guess the password. This method is faster than brute force because it tries only likely possibilities. The third one is credential stuffing. Attackers use a list of previously stolen usernames and passwords from other breaches to gain access to accounts, betting that users have reused the same passwords across multiple sites. Okay, so if you want to create a strong password, try to keep a longer password to at least like 12 or 16 characters and use a mix of uppercase, lowercase, number, and special characters. Avoid guessable information. Don't use names, common words, predictable sequences, your birthdays, anything that the attacker can easily get off of you from like Google. Use passphrases. Consider a passphrase made of random words or a memorable sentence like blue sky, green grass. Just make it random. Make it unique and ensure each account has a unique password because if they have access, if all your passwords are the same, if an attacker gets one password, they get the entire thing. And use a password manager to store these passwords. Regularly update your passwords. Don't keep them same for a long time, for a long amount of time, especially for your banks and all those kind of things. Enable 2FA, two-factor authentication. This adds extra security and requires you to log in on two devices. Avoid personal information. Don't use personal information and passwords that can be quickly found by a quick Google search. And be mindful of other people trying to watch your password as you type it in on public networks or anything like that. Okay, so in conclusion, cybersecurity protects systems, networks, and programs from digital attacks aimed at accessing, changing, or destroying sensitive information. We went over the types of malware, viruses, boot sector, macro, file infectors, phishing, and password attacks. And to prevent this, use a good antivirus software, create strong and unique passwords, and be vigilant on the internet. And don't click on random links and make sure you have antivirus softwares, firewalls, and a password manager to store your passwords. Thank you so much for your time. Does anyone have any questions?
Okay, that was a great presentation. Um, I think we have a few questions already in the Q&A box. If can you see
I,
it or should I read it
I
out?
don't see it.
Okay.
Oh wait, I see it. Okay. It isn't the real Microsoft? No, that was not the real Microsoft. Let me go back. Yeah, this is not the real Microsoft. Because Microsoft at emailrecords.com, this is not what Microsoft uses. The Microsoft would go after the at symbol and it would be something else in the front. It could be Office 365 at Microsoft.com because that's a domain that they hold and they own. And it's really hard to get access if another company's trying to access Microsoft account like that. Um, what do you think the biggest online threat for teenagers today? I think clicking on like random links. A lot of us don't really know like the severity and like how much damage it can cause, especially once you're older, and you have your bank accounts out and everything like that. If anyone can guess your password and they get access to all your information, they can steal all your money in like 10 minutes max, and it can really hurt you. Um, do you know what is the biggest threat for professionals today and what they're trying to solve now? Um, biggest threat professionals today. I don't know, but I know that nowadays it's a lot of people are going into cybersecurity because more and more people are trying to gain access into these companies. 2 days ago there was a breach into Microsoft where like everything shut down, flights were canceled, banks closed, everything happened. It was a huge deal. People's flight got canceled. My uncle's flight got canceled because Microsoft, their whole thing got hacked and their flight got canceled. Um, but yeah, people are just trying to make sure that systems are not easily hackable. What if a phishing email is very convincing? How do I save my info after the attack? Okay, well, if you know it's an attack afterwards, you can change your password as quick as you like as quick as possible. And if you have the same password for other websites, make sure you change that too, because if they try that password on different accounts, they can get in really easily. Save your info after the attack. And if it's a bank or really personal, you can call them up and ask them to like secure your accounts and disable like withdrawing and all that kind of stuff. And they can probably do that for you. Do you think Google double authentication is a good way to protect yourself from hacking? I think yeah, I think any type of double authentication is a good way to protect yourself from any threats. Do you think the government plays a strong role in preventing these threats? I don't think the government right now, I don't think they have a really big role. I think they should have a bit more role, but mostly it's just the big companies that control these cybersecurities. What emerging technologies do you think have the greatest impact on cybersecurity? Mm, I don't really know about this. I can. I can find that out for you, and then you can just message me. But I don't have an answer for that right now. Can you explain more about the Microsoft hacking? So yeah, basically what happened was these hackers they got access into the Microsoft account, not the accounts, but they got access into the Microsoft systems. And what they did, they just closed a bunch of systems down, and a lot of these systems, like they are relied on by big companies, like airlines rely on them, banks rely on them. Almost everything you see online, like that you see when you go out, is controlled by them. So what they did is they hacked into it, and I'm pretty sure they got some money out of it. I think it was a ransom where someone had to pay. I think Microsoft had to pay the hackers back about like 40 million or something like that. I'm not really sure. This was like 2 days ago. I don't think the information's fully out yet. But yeah. How often should I change my passwords? Um, I would say every 5 to 6 months. I think that's a good timeline because you can't if you do it too often, that's a lot of work and you might just forget or like lose your information. But I think 6 months is a good uh timeline. Any more questions? How can businesses or nonprofits like Wise Youth prepare for future cybersecurity threats? Um, I think the same thing I went over, making sure like you don't click on random links and the passwords thing. Try to make sure like the passwords like people at nonprofits they use passwords that relate to themselves. Um, so if you try to make a password like really random, people can't guess that. So just make sure like your passwords aren't public or they're not able to be guessed really quickly or really easily.
Okay.
Any more questions?
Um, I think we kind of like ran through like a lot of questions already.
Yeah.
I think that none of them are coming in anymore. Maybe like we'll give like a quick conclusion if any more come in during that time, then you can just answer it then. But yeah, so thank you so much, Slok, for today's
Yeah.
webinar. And I really enjoyed a lot of the information that you provided, and I hope that all the listeners today also learned a lot. And I know that a lot of people told us that they couldn't attend just because of timing issues and other commitments. So we do have a recording of today's webinar, which will be posted both on the webinar and also we'll send a link on our social media just for those who know about us on social media. And yeah, so if you guys also have any further questions, I know that there was one question someone asked that Shlok wasn't able to answer, but you can find his information on the website and you can just contact him if you want to actually know the answer to that question. But you could probably also search it on the internet and such as like the more topics like Microsoft hacking, more information such as the news, it's going to be online. So if you want to keep up to date on those news things regarding to cybersecurity, you could totally find that just by Googling it. But if you do want to ask any of our team members, that's totally fine as well. So yeah, we kind of ended a bit earlier than expected. So I think just for information about future webinars, just seeing how it has been for the past two, we might shorten it to just 30 to 40 minutes rather than an hour webinar. But yeah, so for next week, we still have a webinar planned and information will be posted again on the website and the Instagram. So please stay tuned for that. And I think that concludes because there's no more questions. I don't see any more. So I think that will conclude today's session. And yeah, once again, thanks, Shlok, and everyone else for attending. And see you guys next week, okay? Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.